This is a project I've been working on for the Clownfish Plane. I'm thinking about making my own autopilot for the aircraft, and what I'm using to do that with, I've got a little controller board in here. It's a Cypress PSOC controller board that I've used for quite a few different projects. In fact, I've got a one of them in the aircraft now that I've got it doing a bunch of functions for me, and I'm gonna kind of ran out of pins, so I'm gonna do, rather than try to integrate this into that controller, I'm going to add another one of them to the aircraft. So I'm building up this little box. Right now I have it wired into a servo motor, just for a demonstration. But eventually it'll be wired into two servo motors, one for the pitch and one for the roll. And so the operation of this, I try to keep it fairly simple. I didn't want to have to go through menus to do anything. I wanted to, simple operation, and I wanted the operation to be with my left hand, because my right hand, when I'm flying the plane, I'm going to be using it to, hold on to the control stick. So, so what I've got is three different functions on here: vertical trim, heading, and altitude. And if I dial this rotary encoder, you can see the servo motor spinning. That will adjust the vertical trim for normally, for flying trim, if I'm descending, that sort of thing, to offset the control forces on the control stick. And then if each of these rotary encoders also has a push button, so I can push on the button and return it to 0. But now let's look at some of the autopilot mode. And one of them is the heading, so I can dial in a particular heading that I want to go to, and once I've selected that, I can push the button one time and turn on the autopilot. The aircraft will turn to that heading, and then zero in and maintain that heading. And likewise, the altitude, I can dial in an altitude, and it will select that altitude. And when I want to turn it off, I can click on the buttons again and turn them off. The next thing is, let's say I'm flying along, I just want to hold the current heading I'm going at. If I push and hold the button down, it's going to put the current heading that I'm going into the box and maintain that heading. Same with the altitude. If I like the altitude that I'm at, I just press and hold it, and it will automatically, that's the altitude that it'll try to maintain. So, so one of the other things is, while the altitude mode is going on, there's no reason why I should be adjusting the vertical trim. That'll just interfere with that altitude hold. So it's kind of an error indication. I got bars going across the display. But there's another switch in here. It's an override switch that I can actually turn off the autopilot modes when I pull the switch low. So this is a way to disable one switch to kind of turn everything off. And at this point, with that enable switch low, if I try to enable these modes, it's flashing at me, telling me, hey, there's something getting in the way of doing that. And the reason is the enable switch is low. So that's kind of what the plan is. I've got the servo motors in the aircraft mechanically. I've been messing with those. I can actually control their little trim tabs on the control surfaces, and I can kind of steer. I'll be able to steer the aircraft using those trim tabs, and their radio controlled aircraft servos, pretty ubiquitous servos for that. The next thing I need to get going is I need to get a serial a data line coming from my electronic flight instrumentation system into this box that'll give me the pitch, yaw, and roll that I can use for the control. That's what I plan to use for the control system. Just reading of that data and then doing like a PID controller to keep the heading correct. So that's the next thing. I'll do another video later on when I get a little closer, but this is this is what I'm up to these days. Anyway,